Greetings. Welcome back to Combe TV. I can't believe I got to change the banner because look at that. Episode 90. 90. I can't believe this. What was it? 5 years ago this month that we went into lockdown. 5 years ago to this month that my first guest tonight came up with this damned idea of creating a chat show. I can't knock it because I've kind of spawned all sorts of other services off of it and it's created a business. But hey, it keeps me honest, but it keeps me having fun with you guys and it keeps the gin flowing. I've got a smaller glass of it because my cardiologist told me to, but I'm still got a gin, so we can't knock it. This is a little bit different, this one. We are previewing Spring Action Day. We're focusing on that. It's coming up on the 29th of March. What's that? A week on Saturday. So a week and a half away to the start of the show season. And I think it's fair to say, I was just chatting to all of our guests before we went live with this show, and they're all itching for this. And I would imagine that you're all the same. Don't forget, if we've got any newbies that are watching, you can put your own comments or questions in the comments section, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, doesn't matter. Put the comments there and we can put them up on screen. We can get any of the guys to reply to them if it's a question or even if it's just to respond to the abuse, whatever it is. Jump in and get involved. I said about the first person that's coming on is someone who came up with this idea, and I've always thanked him. It was me and Tom Davis that were the ones doing it, but this guy was the one that threw us under the bus. I mean, came up with the brilliant idea. He's the one that's going to give us the details of everything that's going on this Spring Action Day in a week and a half's time. So let's bring out Sam Preston.
Hi, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you?
That speech you gave back just then, I think you owe me, so we'll talk about that after the show.
I don't know about that. There's two sides to that coin, I can tell you, mate. But going to that first of all, from what Tom tells me, it was your idea in the first place that you Yeah, we vaguely remember him.
Yeah, I mean, talking about being 5 years ago, I mean, it's now the weather's getting a bit better, and it's really bringing back the memories from that half a decade ago. You know, I can't believe I'm saying it's half a decade ago. Still feels like yesterday, but I'm really proud of the way we adapted to it, to be honest. And thankfully, it wasn't permanent. So, and great things have lived on through it, like this. So. Yeah, I mean, it was an experience at the time.
It was. We were doing it twice a week.
I know. I was looking back through some of the old episodes, and fair play, you got some pretty serious guests on there back at its peak, mate. Like Tiff and Karen, and yeah.
I know we did. It was mind blowing, to be honest with you, and fun, and that was what it was. And people still, you might not know this, Sam, but I still get people come up to me in the paddock and kind of thank us for helping them through what was a difficult time. It was a freaky, weird time, wasn't it? And I only know it was 5 years because I was up at Donington Park yesterday and I had the radio on at silly o'clock in the morning driving up there. And it suddenly was on the news that it was 5 years, and I'm going, oh my God, it is as well.
Talking of people thanking you and stuff, I obviously, it's a concept that has now gone on to, and a lot of other circuits and other motorsport companies have sort of bought into it. And, I think we really rode the curve quite early, and I'd like to think that hopefully we inspired at least a few of those companies to go down that route in the first place. But I guess we'll never know for sure. But, yeah, it was mega, mate, and it still is.
No, it is, and it's always a lot of fun. As I say, it's spawned Visual PR, my company, that isn't just this. I've got a physical studio, I've got a portable studio, we've got this remote studio, and it's all the work we do afterwards with the video content. But it's all about this conversational, because this is what I love, Sam, is that we get all of our guests tonight. Is that it's not just suddenly throw a camera in front of them and say, tell us about your part. It's like, no, we have a relaxed chat, Traditionally, it's always me with a gin in hand as well.
But there's with motorsport, there's such a big off season that, you've got to fill in that gap somehow. So this is one of the best ways to do it for those, what is it, 4 or 5 months, I guess. So
exactly right, and it keeps people informed. And that, of course, Sam, is the big idea for tonight's show. Is a week and a half away from the first event of the show season, and that, of course, as always, is the Spring Action Day, Saturday the 29th of
yes,
March.
indeed.
It's kind of a weird one. On one breath, it kind of like, oh, I've been itching, ready to get going. But on the other one, it's like, did I just blink through that winter?
I know. It does creep up on you, this show. But it's always one of our most popular. I don't know if that's just because people are getting itchy feet at this stage. But yeah, I mean, it's growing year on year still. It's a cracking event, and anyone who hasn't been before should definitely try it. It's a great example of what an action day is all about. And obviously it's not the only one in the year. There's 4 or 5 afterwards as well, but this one sort of sets a tone. We've got quite a lot of new features that, me, Max and George have been working on behind the scenes that, we're going to sort of test drive at Spring Action Day. So I think people will be pleasantly surprised this year, even if they are regulars. So
And before we get on to all the things that are on this one, let's just position this for a second. You just made a comment about if you've not been before. So for anybody, let's go first of all from a spectator perspective. If you've never been before, what is Spring Action Day?
Yeah, I know obviously a lot of your audience are more down the race day route. But the Action Days is very much the other half of what Castle Combe's all about, I would say. And I know that there's not necessarily that much overlap between the two, but I don't see why that is, because they are both very entertaining in their own right, and anyone that's into anything to do with cars would probably like both. So, sorry, what was your question? What is an action day, basically?
Yeah.
It's a car show. It's focuses on, I would say, modified and sports cars predominantly. Anything that you would look twice at driving past you the other way. Sort of is what we try to attract. It's very much as important about what's on the track as it is what's off the track as well. The off the track part of the show is arguably the biggest part of the show. This year, for example, we've got 1,700 display cars, static display cars, ranging from Quarry Corner all the way down to the end of camp. And
that's a key thing. I just want to pick up on that point, Sam, is that for those of you who haven't been, is that you wander around the entirety of the circuit. You kind of nip up and watch what's on track. You back off, and there are stands with cars on display all the way round, and there's just so much to see.
These shows are a great way of highlighting how good Combe is for just walking around, because some venues obviously don't let you do that, but you can literally go at least halfway around the circuit and not have a quiet moment of where there's nothing to see, which I really like. And, me and Dav, who I work with at the shows, we literally spend the whole day working our way slowly from one end to the other, basically. And we never get bored. Even though there's 1,700 cars there, they are, I'm not being biased, they are all really impressive builds, and people are very proud of them on their club stands. And so it's definitely a lot to look at.
And again, for those of you who don't necessarily know, is that what you predominantly got is these different clubs. Is that the right word to use?
Yeah.
That will have a stand.
Car clubs, which normally has somewhere between 5 and 50 cars on display. And more and more effort is going into how that stand is sort of like laid out and presented, which actually brings me on to, we're actually doing a new award this year. I will go into the awards in a bit, but there's a new one this year, Best Dressed Club Stand. So we're sort of encouraging them to have even more of an idea of, putting in some effort to their stand and the theme of it. And each show is going to have its own theme. Spring is sort of a bit of a test bed, so it doesn't really have a theme. But the other shows we will announce themes that the clubs can then sort of decorate their stands accordingly with.
Because they do put a lot of effort in, don't they, generally?
Yeah, people love it. The clubs love it as a day out. They bring their barbecues, they bring their gazebos. They all have everyone sort of goes from one stand to another and chats to people they know in the scene and stuff. So the club part of the show is like almost like its own thing in itself, that some people don't even leave before you even get onto the track stuff, which obviously is another thing altogether.
Yeah. So you've got these clubs, and they could be a particular mark of car, a particular make of car, or it could be a particular area, whatever it happens to be. All got them on display. Some of them are static display. Some of them then choose to go on track. So for people that don't know, as well as all that to go and look round, is there will be sessions where these people will be taking their cars out on circuit to sort of open up the taps a little bit.
Yeah, so that's the other most popular part of the show is the 15-minute track sessions. It's a great way for people that maybe have never been on track before to see if they are ready to do a full track day, if that's the route they wanted to go down. You know, the controlled 15-minute sessions, you can do slow parades, you can do fast speed track time like a track day. Always an impressive standard of car out there, but you know, you can take anything out there as long as you have all the right paperwork and you do the briefings and everything. And of course, on the flip side of that, that also makes for a great spectacle for the audience, because it's never the same. The car coming over the horizon is never the same, you know. So you can sit at quarry all day and have different cars coming around all day, which is quite unique, really.
No, I agree. And I mean, just again, looking at the comments coming in, solo focusing, track time. Okay, got 3 sessions planned and always a shakedown for book track days.
Well,
Absolutely.
exactly that, yeah.
And keep your ears peeled as you go and do 1, 2, or 3 in your case. And you kind of go, I want to go out again. And you can take passengers out. There's a way to be able to do that as well, and hire helmets, all that sort of stuff in the Strawford Centre. Go and get yourself booked on for even more, which would be great to do. Just quickly on these comments coming in. One of our Orange Army, thanks in advance, Chris, for all that you'll be doing this year. Evening to you, mate. Philip says, hi guys, would be really great to have a live stream for select events this year, asking every year and hoping money fell from the sky. Not sure it has yet, but believe me, the conversations continue to go. So
I was just about to say that. I've had a few conversations behind the scenes about that as well, and it's definitely been talked about.
Yeah.
But I think the last part of that comment sort of says it all, really. It's just the cost thing, really.
And personally, and this is not an official line in, this is me logically looking at it, because I'm very privileged. I get to travel around country in Europe and whatever on the mic. And you kind of look at it and go, well, actually, Combe has got a great attendance numbers at race days, at action days and everything. And you kind of go, well, we don't want them to stay at home and watch it on TV. We want everybody to be there. That's not them saying it. That's me thinking outside the box.
I know. I that was my first thought as well, but I think, I don't know what the answer is to that. It might do that. It might do the opposite. It might attract more people in. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
I just know that there's a lot of other circuits where the numbers aren't particularly high in attendance, and so they're kind of like, well, that's a great way to do it. Sav, evening, mate. Good to hear from you, buddy. Hope you went well in your endurance race at Snetterton on the weekend, mate. And you know, you said, who's Tom?
Oh. He always has to pipe up, doesn't he?
He does. Miss you too, Tom. Of course we do, mate. Miss you too. It's like the band's back together with him on screen there as well.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we've got the ability to go and see cars just in all their glory on the stands. They can go out on track, but there's now, before we move on to the different display things going on and off track, there is one big tends to be static, and that's the show and shine. Yeah, so that's another part of the static area is the show and shine awards, which is slightly different. It's actually me that chooses them, hand-picked cars that apply. I thought you kept that quiet.
No, I shouldn't have said that. I'm one of the people that chooses them. So you get X amount of people applying, and then we choose 25 people to form the stand in one of the main parts of the paddock, which are then sort of battled out over the day with the judges for the top 3. That feature is sponsored by Bristol Detailing Supplies, and it has been for many years, so shout out to them. More recently, we've also spawned a subcategory, which is Best Wrapped Car of the Show, which is sponsored by Shades Wraps. So that's still going strong now. We've actually had really good entries for both of those both those competitions this year, which I've just been sort of judging the last few weeks. And I think it's going to be a really strong stand from the start. So that really sets a tone for the year.
Fair dues.
Yeah, so really looking forward to helping to judge them on the day, and I think that having the top 3 cars laid out in front of the stage at 2 p.m. is going to be a really good sight with all the crowd around them and stuff. So
yeah, I do. I like that bit. I do love getting up on the stage when we've got the cars in front and all the people waiting to see. It's really impressive, hotly contested / terrifying competition. So best of luck to everybody in that one. Incidentally, by the way, I should have said this at the beginning, that Spring Action Day, in association and sponsored again by Infinity Exhaust, another long-term partner.
That was my next point.
Guys.
Yeah. They, shout out to them. Obviously, they're always great. They have the main trade area in the trade village where they lay out all their exhaust systems and a few cool cars. So yeah, long-standing partner with them over a decade now with Spring Action Day, believe it or not. So yeah, great sponsor to have on board, and really proud about that. So see what they bring this year.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's those that competition. You also have to go and pick what's the one where they all go out on track?
There's a lot of different things that me and Dav find ourselves doing throughout the day. So obviously Show and Shine and Best Route we've mentioned. Then there's a few other awards like Car of the Show, Club Stand of the Show, Trade Stand of the Show, stuff like that. So all these cars and people amalgamate on the stage at 2 p.m. So even if you haven't seen those particular cars as you've been walking around, they'll kind of come to you later on in the day. So it's definitely worth going up to the stage at 2 to see what's there. And then on top of that, we've got the top 50 cars of the show, which we also handpicked to go out on a parade lap. I think it's 3 p.m. And that again it's an amazing spectacle because they're moving then. So they're going around the circuit twice, and you get all sorts of crazy stuff. We had a tractor one year, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, it's probably the first time. Well, not the first time a tractor's been on track, but the first time it's been on track showing itself off. But yeah, so that's it in a nutshell, really. Stuff going on and off the track. Another big one we haven't mentioned is drifting, obviously.
Yep. Which I know one of our guests tonight is going to be from that drift world. I mean, that, Sam, has been a huge success. I mean, I remember Tom and Luca and all of that lot really trying to get that to gain some traction. It was resisted for quite a few years, but in like 1 or 2 sessions. Now it's a popular. Is it up to 4 sessions or 3? I can't remember now.
Three for most shows. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Luca and the Garage 500 team have just been bringing better and better stuff year on year.
Yeah, and the number of cars is huge.
I know. Yeah, I think people, part of the Garage 500 team and whoever they invite, I think they see it as quite a privilege to be asked, and like the standards getting higher, and they almost sort of building these cars just for the It's not competitive, but like it's almost become its own thing. Like that's a Combe drift demo car, So and some of them are really recognizable. We have some wild cards, big American things. Sometimes we had a VW Golf Mark 1 rear wheel drive one year, which was obviously quite weird to see drifting. But yeah, that's obviously one of the highlights of the show again, is the 3 drift sessions.
The crowd just suddenly come out of the paddock and they're flocked to the fences watching that. It is amazing. And I will just expand on that slightly, is that, of course, one big thing that's happened this year is that we do actually have a competition drift event happening at Combe.
We do, yeah. So I guess like all of these displays at Action Days have sort of been leading up to this happening, and it's a big one, yeah.
So it's going to be huge, isn't it? To be honest.
So it's still in the early days. People keep asking about tickets, and the organisers is LZ Fest, so they are the ones that are going to be pulling the trigger on ticket sales and stuff. So they're focusing on their other events around the world at the moment. So I think the latest I heard is tickets are probably going to be available in about a month, but I don't think they're going to hang around long. So it's worth grabbing them as soon as they're released. The hype around the show has been huge. I think it's going to be one of the bigger ones. So
it is. I mean, they've had great success over at Mondello Park up until now, and I think every 3 years they kind of move to a new venue, unless they have to move sooner than that because it doesn't work. But the general thing is go somewhere different after 3 years. So it's fabulous to have them here. a great draw. Did I see some kind of two-wheel stunt thing going on?
Yes. So it's Extreme Bike Battle, it's called. It's run by the guys from Extreme Sports, which used to be a Sky channel, I think. You probably heard of them.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, so it's like multidiscipline. I think they bring in bicycles and motorbikes, so BMX, motocross. It'll be in like a fenced off area of the paddock, but with ramps and everything. And they'll be running throughout the day. So that's another amazing thing to check out, which is new for this year and hopefully continues. Really looking forward to seeing what sort of element that brings to the shows.
Look forward to that. We've also, coming up shortly, we got Dale joining us from Autoworks, and Autoworks are there putting on the charity passenger rides again as well. The opportunity to see how it should be done.
Yeah, this year last year was for the Grand Appeal, which is obviously the Wallace and Gromit charity based in Bristol, and the circuit raised, I think it was over £11,000 by the end of last year, and most of that was through Autoworks. So huge thanks to them. This year, it's just been announced that it's going to be St Peter's Hospice, which is also in Bristol. So let's see if we can beat that number, I guess. The passenger rides is probably the best way to experience a circuit as a passenger. They don't hang about those M3s with those drivers in them. I've seen them sort of power sliding around camp on a proper hot one, and you'll get a good lap in with them. So yeah, exactly. Not to be missed.
No, so get yourself signed up to those on the day as well. Yeah. JS Performance is joining us as well, and we got like even cars up for sale, I believe. We will talk in more detail with Jordan, but
we'll just touch on it. But that'll be a cool spectacle. We did something with an auction company at last year's Autumn Classic, and that went down really well. So if it's anything like that, then I think people are going to be really interested in it. It's always good to see what's on offer, even if you can't afford it. But so much new stuff going on. That'll be another good one. Yeah, we've also got Adam C is going to be at Spring as the sort of influencer presenter. He went down really well at Halloween last year, so he'll be sort of doing stuff for his own YouTube channel and doing bits with us on socials and stuff. So obviously grab him if you see him.
Absolutely. Anything else that I haven't gone through?
Yeah, one more thing, that VIP tickets, which are new for this year.
Yes.
So obviously we've been running them for at least a year now with race days, but I think this is the first time we're going to implement them with action days as well, and they're available for every action day this year. It's basically like a way to sort of elevate your admission ticket so that you have access to more stuff, so you can go upstairs in the Strawford Centre with catering, free catering, great viewing area indoors, if God forbid it does rain. So that's well worth looking at. They're available until the day before the event, so it's still time. You can upgrade a standard admission ticket if you've already bought one of them as well, so you wouldn't lose out if you went down that route. So see how it goes for action days. I think there is an audience for it. So
that's cool. I was just trying to look as well for the times that it starts. I mean, people start getting there really early if they're showing their cars.
Yeah, I mean, if they're displaying their cars, then they'll be instructed on what time to get there, and it is quite early. But general admission probably aim to get there anytime after 8:30.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Don't forget, as well as all of that, you've got the obvious things like there's a whole trade village there as well. Always a brilliantly well-attended trade village that you can have a wander. Plus, there's all the catering and treats and all sorts that are available as you'd expect. And it just genuinely is just a fun, vibrant place to be. And as you say, I think the reason it's so successful is because people are kind of going, I want to get going now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like the pressure builds up over the winter, and it's always the quickest to sell out, and obviously on paper it seems quite surprising because it's not midsummer, and luckily the weather has been good most times we've run it, but I guess, like you said, people are just itching really. And we can't wait. I mean, obviously mentioning everything we just mentioned, it's going to be a pretty busy show, and I don't think people are going to be bored.
No. It will last the whole day, and it'll go in the blink of an eye. without question. Make sure you get along, get your tickets to go and watch it. I think that we're full on cars to be able to
Definitely, yeah. Unfortunately,
That's
my advice is to get your. I say this to everyone, and people message on Instagram all the time saying, "Oh, am I too late to buy tickets for spring?" Try and get your display passes as early as you can for the future events, because we always seem to sell out before the deadline. So sometimes, you'll just suddenly not be able to get them unexpectedly. So it's worth being a bit organised, just putting some dates in your calendar and getting some display passes booked.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely. But if you're going as a spectator, still time for that. So get yourself along.
Absolutely, yeah.
And get involved in all of that. You'll be there with camera in hand, I dare say, as well.
Yeah, more phone nowadays. I'm doing all the social updates every 5 seconds, and Dav does most of the photography now. But yeah, I'll have something electrical in my hand for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, listen, mate, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of that, getting everyone up to speed.
Thanks for having me, mate.
No, it's good to see you.
And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll catch up at some point. So, Sam Preston, thanks, mate. Appreciate
it. Cheers, Chris.
It.
Take care, mate.
Cheers.
See ya.
Cheers, mate. Right, without further ado, because it's great that we were able to start sort of plugging some of these guests that we've got coming up. So let's bring our next guest up. And we talked about the charity rides. That's just an element of where the connection comes. But these guys do so much, and their cars are just bonkers. They really are. So let's bring out director of Autoworks. We've got Dale. Dale, evening, mate.
Evening, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's good to see you.
I feel like a special guest today. I'm normally hiding or driving around the track. So
that's true. I don't even normally get to speak to you when we're at the action days when I got mic in hand. You managed to hide then, I think.
No, I'm normally pretty good at hiding behind a helmet and just sort of getting people in and out and getting the next person on. So it normally ends up being one of my members of staff with a microphone rammed in their face. So I kind of dive out the way quite quickly. So
you are good. You are good at that, mate. I'll give you that. Right.
Yeah,
how long have you guys now been doing this with Combe? It's been
we dabbled in the German days, in the early days when Dav and sort of invited us in, so we were exclusive on that side. Initially, we were just sort of running the cars for our customers in the early days, and Combe sort of slowly got involved and kind of maybe raised a few eyebrows, seen the cars, seen how they lap, seen they're reliable as well, and ultimately just over time is basically sort of had more and more conversations with the team, which is great, and this is our second year of being the official Combe taxis, as we've sort of self-labeled them.
Yeah, I like that.
Which has been a good thing, from our side. It's sort of making sure whenever we do something, it's a collaboration between, multiple people, and it's good for everybody. From our side, ultimately, what we're trying to achieve is getting people out in proper cars, not in a horrible way, but it's not often you get to experience a wow setup M3, which is ultimately a race car, and when as a kid, I'd love to go out in cars, and you'd always see a race car and you'd never have the opportunity or anything like that to do it. So it's a safe way to get round the track with some serious pace.
Agreed.
And on the other side is we're ultimately raising money for charity, like Sam breached on earlier, the money that we raised last year was just phenomenal. If we can do something like that again this year, I'll be so proud, because it's a great thing to do, and people are getting to enjoy some cars, raising some money, and we're helping out people that need the help at the same time.
No, I think it is wonderful. And when I've managed to speak to members of your team, is that you guys, I think I try to speak to you sort of like, say, mid-afternoon to see whether I need to make sure people are aware, go and see you guys, and you go, we're full.
Yeah, and that is, I think that's credit to it as well. I think it's brought the standard up. The cars look great. They are well maintained. I will be honest. My staff, my team do work really hard behind the scenes to make sure that the safety is the best it possibly can be, because they're used hard, as you said. we do like to enjoy the vehicles, but enjoy them safely, and it's about sharing that experience, and I do have to say it wouldn't be possible without our personal sponsors as well. They do help, keep the vehicles running. We know we've got a great team on the car and on the cars as well, and Jason, the second driver, works tirelessly just as much, and we've got the full team there strapping them in and everything, so just to make sure everybody's safe. And we've also had, I've had passenger rides of people that have never been in a car before, and we will drive how they are happy to go. Ultimately that's the
Yes.
same thing as making sure that it's a safe experience.
I was going to ask that question actually. Well, knowing what the answer was, but to make sure that we're promoting it, because some people might go, I really fancy it, but I'm worried that I'll be scared. And it's like,
And we always have that conversation with the with the clients that are coming into the vehicle. I'll say, what have you done before? Have you been on track? Have you not been on track? What are you looking to achieve? Do you want a hot lap? Do you just want to get out and experience it? And generally, we'll always start off slow with the vehicles, and it is very loud in the race cars, I will be honest. So hand control or hand gestures are normally the best way to do it. But generally, give them the thumbs up, and you're normally a couple of laps in. Once you shock them with the brakes in the corners, you're normally getting a double thumbs up. And I'll be honest, we've had people that have cried from emotions from being so excited. And you've got to remember, some people have never had this opportunity to do it, and that was the core reason for starting this program. Dare I say it? It's a way for, how do I say, me and enjoy the track, because I do enjoy sharing the experience, and getting people out there just to enjoy it. It's a brilliant way to see Combe. And some people have got that pride and joys there that don't want to take them on track, and that's absolutely fine. So this is an option for them. I've done over the years where I've shown cars and taken cars to Combe. I enjoy the static side of it as well as I enjoy the track side of it. So it's great for everybody to go there, and it's a family event. Many families we have, where we'll have the wife, we'll have the husbands, we'll have the son, we'll have the daughter. They're queuing up to get the whole family out there, which is great.
Yeah, and it is one at a time, isn't it? It'll only be one of them.
Yeah. So we only run 2 vehicles. So there's a passenger per car, and then we do it that way. So there's only a front passenger in there. They're all harnessed up. Safety obviously got to have their arms and legs covered to make sure that safety is paramount. We can obviously supply helmets, which is what we do on our sign on, and make sure, and it's a minimum age of 16 as well. That's a key part as well. Wow. It has to be, just to obviously follow the rules and everything to make sure we're all above board.
I'm trying to remember what the figure is, and I don't know whether it's been finalised for this year for a passenger lap. I might be putting you on the spot.
I should know the answer to that. You put me on the spot now, Chris.
No, it's okay. Even as I was going, because I should know, because I normally promote it. It might be 25. It might be £30.
I believe it. I believe it's £30 this year. Is what it is. Ultimately, what we're trying to do.
It'll be announced on the day. Keep your ears peeled. Go and ask you guys, and you'll find out. And then, and the beauty being is that that's going to charity as well. You get out, and it really is quite an incredible opportunity. Even if you think you're the best driver in the world, it's a great chance to get out there and go.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. And that's what I say. I wouldn't say we're the best drivers in the world. I'd say we know the circuit very well. We're very competent there. But I'm always, the cars, like I said, they've been developed over a 9-year program now. We actually look after some factory produced GT4s that compete in GTs and stuff over the years. So we know the cars inside and out, and we know the product, and we know how to set a car up to be enjoyed around Castle Combe is probably the easiest way to say it. And it's just a good experience, and that's what we try and do, and make sure it's a safe but fun experience.
What's the just quickly, actually, a couple of comments, by the way, I forgot to put this out earlier. Hi, Emma, good to hear from you from the medical team there. And Solo Focus says, great work you guys do for charity. I love seeing the M3s flying up behind me on track, move over safely, and let you guys crack on and give the paying public the best time they can. That's a lovely
and I appreciate that. And that's what I say. Ultimately, it's not a race day, it's a fun experience day, and that's what it is. And there's a lot of people out there that have never been on track before, so it's about understanding that, and they will sort of take their time to learn the track. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's what these 15-minute sessions are for. or as the gentleman was just saying, it's a perfect way to test ready for the season,
Yes, very
which is a
true.
great thing to do,
Yeah.
and I like seeing the variety that Sam brought up earlier. How often can you go to these shows and see anything, where we see the variety we have here?
It really is an incredible variety. What do you find is the part of the circuit that makes people go wow, or any kind of reaction the most?
Well, obviously we've got Quarry, which is a a corner that everybody loves.
I would even go a little bit earlier than that, because surely it is that whole Avon rise into Quarry, it's that whole sequence, isn't it?
What I would say is often I'm surprised there's not a dent in the passenger footwell, because people would expect brakes to be applied at one thing, and I would say the cars are not the quickest, but it's the corner and braking where it links it all together, and it's the consistency, and I love it. I've driven plenty of cars around Combe over the years, and I've driven some awesome cars as well. But I often say, and I do talk them down a little bit, but I say the M3s are like an old pair of slippers. They just sit in lovely, and then they just do what they need to do, and they're great for it as well.
There's a reason why whenever I'm commentating on championships that are either BMW championships or feature BMWs, there's a lot of them. A lot of them.
It's a great chassis. It is a really good chassis. You do some work to it, and it's a really, really competent car. And that's the beauty of it. What I would say is a lot of maintenance behind the scenes goes on. We do have to keep the cars to the best possible maintenance level we can do. So the team do work tirelessly between events to make sure that standard is maintained. But like I said, living the dream a little bit. Do you know what I mean? I love doing it. It's for a great cause, and and it's great. It's nice and local as well for us as well, Chris. That's the bit we enjoy.
Well, let me now finish up with that part about, and I should have started with this really, but actually I think you've led into it really well there. Who are Autoworks and where are you? I noticed that earlier. You've got the sensor.
I got a sensor light technology. Sometimes it seems like a really good idea, but apparently it's not been tonight. So, so onto that, Chris. Yeah, so ultimately, we are BMW Mini Specialists. We're one junction down from Castle Combe, so we're based on junction 16. We're all ex-BMW, so that's our background. So I worked for BMW for a long, long time. Don't want to say too many years because it'll give my age away. And my team, that's where they come from. So we just specialize in BMs and Minis. We do the latest coding, online service history, maintenance, all the way up to track preparation. We've got M240, which is often at the action days, and we see there we're doing solid subframe bushes and rear road jointed arms to get it set up, and then we'll corner weight it and get it ready for track. So it can vary, but that's ultimately what we do as a job. And we just share our knowledge with it, and we like to come down and have a bit of fun at Combe as well, And right. I don't want to say, but if I brought up that Jason was driving Castle Combe before there was helmets needed, that gives you a little bit of an indication of how long he's been driving there as well. So that was a long, long time ago.
Where are you at Junction 16? Because I'm Swindon as well. We'll have to catch up for a beer at some point.
Yeah, sounds good. So we're literally just based at Spittleborough Farmhouse, so opposite the new crematorium. So you will actually see the workshop coming down the M4 when you do it as well, so you can see it through the field, hiding in the corner.
Okay.
So yeah, we've been there since I'm trying to remember how many years now. We've been here a while. It's probably the honest answer. So
that's where between you and the motorway junction is where the new, is it Dick Lovett that are going to put there?
That is it. They're going to be our new neighbours.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And that's actually where the background of all my staff come from.
Of course, that makes sense. And then the other side towards Rawton is where we may well have a speedway stadium put.
There's been talk of it. I don't know where we're at with it, but it seems like it seems to be where everything's happening around junction 16 at the moment. So we'll see where this goes, as well as a service station, I believe, as well is meant to be coming.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah. That's where it's all happening, mate, isn't it? It's where the place to be.
trendsetter apparently, I guess. We'll find out. But yeah, so there's a lot planning. I think Swindon's just expanding very quickly, dare I say it. I
Just a
think that's
bit.
what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
So
exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I'm in North Swindon. It was right at the very edge, and it's not anymore. They've gone further towards Cirencester. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, it
it's all
seems to be
happening.
getting North Swindon's absolutely huge now, isn't it?
It
It's
is. Yeah, it is. Well, that's seriously cool to hear, and I can't believe I didn't realise you were quite so close to me there. But
yeah.
that we're always so busy that we don't always know what's under our nose. So we'll catch
No,
up.
I get it. I get it. It's
Um,
normally what happens. It tends to be when you have a BMW or a Mini and you think, "Oh my god, my car's broken. I'm going to Google it," and then that's when we get found.
yeah, you go. Oh,
So
that's where they are.
yeah, it tends to be that,
Yeah,
So, but
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, Dale, it's been absolutely wicked to catch up with you. So cool to see you back at the Spring Action Day again, and doing those charity passenger rides in genuinely some awesome cars. So it'll be 2 different cars. Remind us what they are.
So we've got AW01, which is an E90 M3. Boring fact, probably one of the rarest M3s there was. I really like it. So it's got 4 doors, so it's a saloon. And then we run the very common E92 M3, which is AW02 as well, which is a coupe, which everybody remembers. But it's great to sort of have them. People might remember the sort of world touring cars, so that's where the E90 sort of was based in and stuff like that. But there wasn't many of them made. Like 450 come to the UK, so it was quite a rare car. And I don't know, for some reason I just like the more door look. I don't know why. It's just something like that. So yeah, so they're in matching livery. So sometimes it can be hard to distinguish the difference. But obviously we've got me driving AW01, and then we got Jason driving AW02, and obviously my team and everything. The only thing I do need to say, Chris, as well, the change for this year is all tickets will be sold from the pit lane via Autoworks. So there's no need to go to the Strawford Centre this year. We will be taking all the tickets from there, so it'll all be signed on and controlled via us this year. It just makes it a little bit smoother running from the pits from one place rather than getting the tickets from the Strawford Centre and then coming over to us. And it
Yeah,
allows us, if we need to adjust and we've got spaces or anything like that, and if as time allows, we'll always try and do everything we can for people to try and get as many as we can out. But obviously there is a limit of what we can do with sessions and stuff like that. I could easily run another 2 cars, but it's sort of maintaining the quality that we need to maintain.
yeah, absolutely. Listen, mate, it's so good to catch up with you, and I can tell that you're looking forward to it just to the way you've explained all of
Itching,
that stuff. So,
itching,
yeah, I can
itching to
tell.
get back out. It's been a long winter, hasn't it? Certainly. So I think everybody can't wait to get going, and we're looking for this, looking forward to this first event. So no, I do really appreciate having me on as well, Chris, and
No,
likewise,
it's
look
brilliant,
forward to
and
it.
to sort of get a feel for that enthusiasm is exactly what we wanted. So, Dale from Autoworks, thank you so much, mate. I appreciate it.
Thanks, and have a great evening, and I'm sure we'll see you all there.
See you
Cheers.
there, mate. Cheers,
Bye
buddy.
bye.
I do love that. That really brought it to life, the excitement, and as we said, that's something that you can do. Go and experience the circuit and how it should be driven in some pretty incredible cars. Talking of some incredible cars, a highlight we've already talked about that is for these action days, and it's just grown in popularity. Everybody flocks to the side of the track as soon as it happens, and that is when the drift demo sessions come on. Absolutely epic. Now, I'm delighted to say that we are joined by one of the drift drivers. I got him down as just Guion, but he's actually named Hugh Guion Saville. I'm sure there's the third at the end there as well. It sounds very formal, Guion. Let's bring him out and let's chat drifting. Hugh Guion Saville the third. Hello, mate.
Good. How are you? I don't know where the thirds come from. I think
I've added that. I've added that now because it sounds like it should have it with all of that, mate. It's Guion. Thank you so much for your patience there, mate. Appreciate
Pleasure.
that. Drift drivers aren't known for their patience, to be fair.
No,
So
definitely not.
you've done well. What's your involvement in drifting?
So basically just trying to go around the track sideways is kind of what I do. But no, so yeah, I've been part of the demos in Castle Combe for a couple of years now. Luca very kindly invited me down. I'm trying to remember, it's got to be probably 2 years that I did my first one there. Very probably underprepared, very kind of scared when I first went out on track, because the speeds at Castle Combe are different level to pretty much anywhere else that we drift, to be fair, which is why I just keep going back. And, you know, every time I go there, try and get a little bit braver. And it's honestly, I don't think you can have much more fun with your clothes on really than what you're doing down in Castle Combe.
And I do love that, and I always get it when I'm on the mic for it, and I've got, say, Titch with me, and we've had Luca grabbing a few words with him, and it's probably a part that people might not appreciate, is that you kind of go, well, surely going around Combe is obvious, but whilst it is, and you guys love it that you can let rip, you're used to much shorter and tighter environments, aren't you?
Yeah, the majority of drifting, I would say, probably you know, maybe a good couple of years ago was just kind of like, you know, go-kart tracks, you know, Three Sisters, Teesside, you know, they'd use they'd mark up tracks in car parks, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, then when you step up to a big track like Castle Combe, it really does, you know, it makes you realize just how much difference there is drifting in, say, third gear, and then when you're clicking sixth at the bottom of Avon Rise, you know, it's a big step up. But that's why, you know, every time I go to Combe, I'm surprised we were allowed to do what we do there, because it's just absolutely incredible. I don't think there's you know, I've been very lucky. I've drifted pretty much all the main tracks in the UK. You know Silverstone, I've done Donington, Brands, all that kind of stuff. And I still say Castle Combe is my favourite by far. And even coming from Wales, I should say Pembrey, which is probably my second favourite. But Castle Combe, every time I go there, it's just you know, I still get scared, and that's the feeling that I love.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. That's
you get that
point.
tingle, because if you get to a point where you can drift a track, you know, okay, you know, you kind of just repeat it. But Castle Combe, every time I go out, you know, you have a quiet word with yourself and say, right, now it's time to concentrate and really, you know, go for it, because you can literally go. There's very few tracks where you can go literally as fast as you possibly can drifting, and Combe is one of them, which is, you know, I'm all for that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, Max Simmons, our commercial manager, who is obviously a very successful motorbike racer, king of Combe twice, and he got taken out in the passenger seat last year, and he came back and he loved it to pieces, but he was like, oh my God, that is just incredible. And because it's not normal to be kind of looking through a side window at where you're going.
That's what everybody says, you know, because drifting is you're doing the opposite to what you're supposed to do to go fast on a track. It's the complete opposite, but you're still trying to go as fast as you can, but you're going sideways whilst doing it. So if you take somebody out who's never been out, you know, for a drift lap, especially if you take them to Combe and then you take them out, you know, you just have to have a quick look over to check that they're okay halfway around, because people would either love it, or if people go really quiet, it's kind of more worrying. But it's quite. Have you been out in the car yet?
No, and interestingly,
so here we go. This is the time now, then, live, to say that next time we're in Combe.
Luke knows this as well. He says it's my turn in the seat. Not a chance. It's one of those things that I get mocked for, is that I can go and drive something, I can commentate on all sorts, but for whatever reason, I struggle with the passenger seat.
Yeah, I can't do passenger, so I'm with you on that. But you'd have to do, especially if you're the commentator, you know. Just one. Well, with the tyres only do one lap anyway, so you're safe.
That's true. I think my safety is that I don't believe I'm actually covering any of the action days this year.
Oh, which is even better. So you got a weekend off to come down.
No, I'll be at a different circuit. I'll be at somewhere different. It's mental. That's the way it goes. So I think I've dodged a bullet here, Luca. Thanks, mate. But no, I mean, joking aside, it is this great opportunity. Luke has also added, go out with Grion. He's plenty slow with that V8.
I was wondering when the V8 comments were going to start, and there they are already. When he phoned me earlier, that's where his name comes up on my phone, as Luca, the V8 hater.
Can I just actually emphasize right now that this is showing one of the key things. The spirit amongst you all is second to none. It is all trying to get each other out on track. If there's an issue, you all help each other to try and get out there, don't you?
Yeah, it's quite a thing. Like I came from rallying, so I obviously, again, like I said, living in deepest darkest Wales, rallying is probably the main sport that we have around here. And I did a couple of stage events and night rallies and stuff, but I always had that feeling that I enjoyed going sideways more. So then my bank budget decided I would try a £50 BMW down in Pembrey and just do a drift day down there. And then since then, hooked. But then the friends I've made from there, I'm still good friends with now. And as you say, the drifting community, because it's quite a niche sport. I mean, it is growing, but it's not massively known. So once you get like a good group of guys together, you kind of stick together, and that's what it's like. And like I said, Luca, the Garage 500 guys, we have strong banter is probably the PC way of saying it.
It is, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And I think, definitely with part of this conversation, Tyler Garland says, can't wait to come to Spring Action Day next weekend. And I don't blame you in this kind of conversation. You guys must feel that the crowd suddenly are flocked to the fences
crazy
to watch it as well.
They really you don't, when you're in the car, you kind of, you zone out and you have to concentrate. But then say, when you drive around to do a cool down lap and you see the crowd around, it's just, and you can feel it as well. Before you go out the car, you see everybody starting to walk over. It's quite a thing. It really is, and it puts a bit of pressure on, but then you want to perform, and that's, drifting is about that as well. It's about putting on a show. So knowing that the people enjoy and the crowds are there to see it, just makes it, it makes you click an extra gear.
and on that front, and I will sort of touch in a minute if we get a chance to sort of like bring to life for people that might not understand is how competition drifting works. But before I do that, it's important for me to emphasize that at these action days, you guys are putting on a show.
Yeah.
And I always feel inclined to thank you all for coming out, because one of the conversations that Titch and I have had on the mic in the past, people might think wrongly that you throw on some cheap crap tires because you're going to be burning them up anyway.
Yeah.
And that's not the case, is it?
No, not so much. So, pretty much everybody, really, most of the guys, Garage 500 guys, I know for a fact, and me and, my friends, we all run. So it's a semi-slick 265 3518. And it's a purpose-built, purpose-made tire for drifting, should we say. Yeah. So, the compound is very, very soft, because, again, what people don't understand in drifting, you want to go fast and you want to go sideways at the same time. It's not just about having no grip. So we dial in as much grip as we possibly can, but you're doing it sideways. So our tires, are seriously soft. They're not cheap, we won't get wrong. And as we said, we're lucky if you drive a full lap flat out of Combe, a set will just about do you one lap. We can stretch it out to 2, but that is it. And then your tires are done, and then another set goes on. So it's it's definitely not part ones, that you pick off the scrap pile as I used to do with a £50 BMW. It's the cars now seriously stepped up to the point where we're on the it's big boy tires.
And that's the key. That's what I wanted to get over, that people appreciated that and respected that, because I always thank you guys for that. The only thing I think that's kind of disposable is the bodywork, isn't it? By design, that's
it seems to be in drifting, yeah.
Yeah, but nothing else is. I mean, the work that you guys put into the chassis, to every mechanical part in it, it's just quite phenomenal, and it almost seems like an art form in itself in what you're doing with the car.
Yeah, the cars of the pro cars, which I would class, like I said, Garage 500 guys, myself and stuff, the amount of work, because you're putting so much stress on them. It's not a case of you have to have parts which can take. Like I said, we're clicking, 6th gear in Castle Combe, and you're spinning the wheels up to over 140 mile an hour while you're doing 120, 150 mile an hour yourself. So the cars have to be built well to be able to take that, and they have to be built strong as well. And as we all know, motorsport parts aren't cheap, and to be able to do what we do, we have to have some of the best stuff that you can buy. So it's an expensive sport, but anything in motorsport is expensive. And it's, again, the show that we put on, and just seeing the people's faces and stuff like that. And, when the kids come over after we've been, it's just, it half justifies it, should we say?
Yeah, no, I get you. I hear you totally. I mean, I always remember when Richard Hammond was still, I'm pretty sure it was still Top Gear at that point, and he tried to learn how to drift.
Yeah.
And failed miserably. And people just assume, surely that's easy. And the answer is, it really isn't, which is why there's a lot of experiences where you can learn how to drift, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's a couple of good, schools that are set up. Just at the top of my head, Learn to Drift, RDX. There's a couple of places like that. Which Santa Pod, I'm sure, do stuff as well. So you can go. They provide a car, and you can go out in a safe environment in a car. And just learn the basics, and then you can obviously, depending on budget, you can step up yourself. You can start building your own cars, and it's
and then it's the slippery slope.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, exactly. It goes. It gets very serious very quickly because it's just addictive. There's no other word. Like I said, I remember, being in Pembrey and remember thinking to myself, "Oh, this is going to cost me money," and that was after one day. And here I am, still doing it. 7 years later.
Yeah, be careful. It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. The final part then is to help people understand what happens in competition drifting so that we can actually appreciate some of the stuff that we're watching you do on circuit. What do you have to do in competition drifting?
Yeah, so obviously, as you know, the majority of stuff we do in Combe is a demo, so you tend to do a single run, or you get a bit of twinning in. But with competition drifting, so we have a qualifying. So say if there's 50 drivers, you get a qualifying where you go and you have a set track, layout on the track that you do, which has got boxes, clipping points we call them, which you have to drift through, and then you get scored out of 100. Normally it's like speed, angle, and position on the track, and then the top 32 positions in that, then you go battle against each other. So then the twinning starts. So they would normally do it as a tree kind of structure then. So qualifying number 1 would go against qualifying number 32. And you would both do a run each. You would do one run in the lead position and one run in the chase position. And then the idea is to stick as close as you can to the lead car and mimic his line and just do it better the more he can do when you go and do the lead, basically. So you're trying to go as fast as you possibly can, following somebody as close as you possibly can, and not hit each other. Well, not hit each other too hard, should we say?
Yeah, there can be love taps, can't there?
Yeah, you're allowed rubbings racing, they say.
Exactly. I mean, I just can't get my head around that. Is that the whole point being is that the lead car has to just completely ignore the chase car, do their thing, and the chasing car has to sort of be second guessing what they're going to do and mimic them.
A lot of trust.
It blows my mind. It really does.
It's it's pretty, because you're so in the zone when you're doing it, but when you actually step back and think what you're doing, because you have to put your whole trust in the car in front, because if something happens to his car, he makes a mistake or whatever, you are trying to be on his door, as we call it, as close as you possibly can. So there's a lot of trust in the sport. But then again, that's what makes it exciting, because it's a pretty scary place to be sometimes, but that's what makes it fun.
Which is also why, and I believe this is a fair comment to make, we do see occasionally a bit of twinning going on when you're at Combe, but not masses, because it's a bit too quick for that.
Yeah, it is. It's Combe, if you drift Combe as fast as you can, to twin there would be very, very difficult. And the problem again with not with the problem with Combe, but because there's a lot of different cars, you're not sure, and because it's a demo, so you're not sure what set of the cars are running, if they're the same tires. But in a competition, bit more, you would you do your research, you have a spotter which would look out for that car that you're going against. You would see if they're quick, you would see what tires they were on, you would try and judge it a little bit more. But in Combe, because it's kind of more of a demo, it's a bit more of a fun event, it's just a little bit too risky. The guys that do it, I know a couple of the guys, just to name a few, like Dave Bastin, who drives another Toyota 86, he doesn't seem to care what he goes up against, and he will try and twin with you as much as he possibly can. But there's a little bit, and again, because it's a show, for the crowd, and you don't want to, crash and then the event, the session's cancelled. So you try and hold back a little bit. But it's like I said, it's the speed in Combe that makes it more difficult and more dangerous, really.
Of course. Now, what for me is one of the most exciting things to watch, and that people will enjoy it. I tend to only see it down the start-finish straight when I'm on the microphone, but it tends to be on his straight. Now, I've got to make sure I pronounce this right. Mangying.
Yeah, well done. That's good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I always get it wrong when I say it. So.
No, that was bad. That's my favourite bit. So we don't drift. We tend to drift the back so much because there's less crowd. We try and preserve our tyres, for the main bit. So we kind of set up just before the pit straight. So normally I will, enter there in fourth, and then we will start to do, as you call it, the mangy down the pit straight. So I will click fifth halfway down the pit straight, and then just as I come out of the pit straight, I'll normally then click up to sixth before going up to Avon Rise then and down into Quarry. So that feels, in the car, that feels fast. And when the guys film you, on the pit wall, it looks pretty spectacular, and the speed there is something. You know, it's good fun, that is.
And so the Banyan is from one side to
Yeah.
the other, isn't
So
it?
we try and go literally from edge to edge. You know, so you're trying to keep your you know, the car in between the two white lines, but you are pushing right to the edge. Obviously, sometimes we go over and the grass gets cut prematurely, but it's lit. You know, we try and use the whole track, you know, lit from, like you say, edge to edge, really, which it makes it again more fun, more dangerous, because you've got small margins. So if you get it wrong, and in Combe when you're going that quick, again, the fear factor is right up there, which is what I like.
It really is. I mean, it's such an incredible show. And how cool that we're actually going to get some competition drifting at Combe.
Yeah, I heard you mention that earlier. That is, you know, that is going to be amazing. I think, you know, I was lucky enough to go out and do the LZ tour out in Mondello. Not last year, the year before. The first year they did it actually, and got to compete out there. So, you know, been following it for years. And the fact that they're coming to Combe is just incredible. You know, Luca and the guys, you know, from Garage 500 and all the team, and you guys, you know, you've done a fantastic job to get, you know, drifting over to, and because Combe now is known as somewhere, you know, a lot of people go to watch drifting because they've seen us do the demo.
Yeah.
I can just imagine that those tickets are going to sell. You know, I'm really hoping that I can drive there, but I might have to have a word with Luca and slip a 50 in his pocket or something to try and get a ticket myself to do that one. But it's going to be a great event, and to see some competition drifting there would be, and you know, some of the names which I know is coming over. It's going to be an incredible event, and literally can't wait to be there to that one.
It is going to be good. And I mean, you made a comment that said, you know, it's growing in popularity.
Yeah.
And the way I sum it up is that the myths and the ignorance are being put to bed.
Yeah, hopefully. You know, it's difficult, but then, you know, you in any sport, it doesn't matter, motorsport, you get good and bad. You know, like I always say, it's an 80-20 rule. You know, sometimes you get 80% good, 20% bad. You know, maybe drifting, you know, because it was difficult, I think, you know, the route of how it started, and then, you know, the transition to proper tracks and stuff. I think it was a little bit rough of a transition, but now I think, you know, people are seeing it as a bit more professional sport. You know, you see stuff like Drift Masters, you see Formula FD, you know, like BDC in the UK, you know, Drift League in the UK. It's all trying to step it up that little bit more to show that it is a serious motorsport, because the cars are serious, you know.
The cars, the control, I mean, it's like an art form to me. It's amazing. Let's not forget, NASCAR was born out of bootlegging illegal alcohol.
Look how many years it took for them to get to a point where it was taken, you know, serious. And then I just hope drifting, but having events like the LZ Tour coming to Castle Combe and stuff will be massive for drifting, and it'll just get the next generation, you know, and it's just all about building it, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, just need to make sure that the minority don't suffer it for the majority.
Yeah, but like I said, you know, you have that in anything that you do in life. So, you know, like I said, got to concentrate on the good and try and ignore the bad, really. And like, you know, like I said, events like, you know, what goes on in Castle Combe, you just can't fault it. They're amazing. The crowd loves it. We love it. Everyone's happy. You know, what more do you want, really?
Exactly. Final comment then is you guys will all be congregated together in the paddock as well when you're not on track.
Yeah.
And I know you're very open for people to come over, whether that's with cameras in hand, whether it's to speak to you guys.
Yeah.
Go and chat to you, or you don't bite hard.
No, definitely. And that's one of the things that, you know, that, like I say, I think we all enjoy, you know, because again, it is kind of showing off drifting. That's what it's about. So when people want to come and see the cars, you know, and I remember when I was a kid, you know, going to watch rally events, but obviously rallying was a little bit more like you weren't allowed to sit in the cars. They were cordoned off, you know, it was a little bit more serious. But with drifting, you know, like I said, our cars now are at a seriously high level. So when people come over, until they see them, until they sit in them, until they see, you know, the build quality, people still now, especially even older people, are proper surprised by how good they are. And the kids, you know, they just love it. You know, they have pictures, you know, we all try and bring, you know, like posters, hero cards, you know, kind of a little bit of merch for them as well. Because when you go to a day, you know, families spend a lot of money, you know, it's a lot of money for people to go out, you know, to do these events, you know, and come and see us. So if we can give a little bit back, and if a kid goes home and he's got a poster or something, you know, and it makes it even better. And like I said, you know, it just makes it great for us as well. And, you know, we appreciate it. So it goes both ways.
No, it does. And speaking as a dad, is that equally, if my daughter's been made to smile and feel that happy, I'm a happy parent.
Well, it makes it worth the while, you know, because people travel a long way, you know, they pay the ticket price, they come in, you know, so it's all the little touches, and they will remember stuff like that, you know. They see us on track, and then they come and they have a chat with us, and you just see them, you know, the faces, you know, when you say, do you want to sit in the car, you know, they love it. So it's an important part for us, definitely, as drifters.
Well, it is. Make sure you go and see Hugh Guion Savile III.
That's going to stick now, that will.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, my bad. But go and see Guion. Go and see the whole crew. Garage 500 will be there in force. They don't bite. They're great to catch up and just enjoy out on track. And Guion, mate, just enjoy yourself back out on the Combe circuit.
And I'll see you in the passenger seat soon.
We'll see. We'll see.
Cheers. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for your patience, mate. Catch you soon. One more guest to go, and this is special, something new that we're going to be doing this year, that you could get your hands on something that takes you to the next level, that little itch that needs to be scratched, that special vehicle. Before I do it, one comment to put up. Prime Minister Sean, that's Sean Lewis. Hi, Sean. Good evening, all. Looking forward to getting stuck back into Action Days this year and giving John Ford as much abuse as possible. See you all there. You can't abuse Fordy that much. He's a legend. He's a living legend. But he does say on his other message that he will restore his enthusiasm. But that's absolutely wicked. Right, let's bring out our final guest. And as I say, this is where you can get your hands on something as well. And I'm going in blind to this one because I deliberately want to find out live from this man. So we're going to find out from JS Performance Cars. Let's have a chat to Jordan.
Hello.
Dude, sorry you've been waiting for so long, mate. I appreciate your patience.
Save the best for last.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Goes without saying. Before we go into the details then, who are JS Performance Cars and where are you?
So we're Bristol based, kind of between Bristol and Bath, Temple Cloud, Bradstock area. So we're there. So we've been going now for about 3.5 years. So obviously we're all into cars ourselves. So like for us, it's not really a job. We're just doing what we enjoy. And we specialize in like performance and modified stuff. So kind of everyone who's going to Castle Combe, I guess the stuff that they like, we sell. So
fair enough. How is this? I mean, it's a new thing for an Action Day to have. It's not an auction, is it? But they are for sale.
Yeah, so everything we're bringing is for sale. Obviously, we've got like 1 or 2 personal cars we're going to bring, but yeah, most of it.
Don't make sure people know they're not for sale then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, most of the stuff we're going to bring is obviously for sale. So yeah, I think it'd be quite cool. It's not really something I've seen before. So, you know, like I said, like kind of everyone who's going to Castle Combe, they obviously probably like their cars. And at some point, they're going to want to get a new car. So do you know what I mean? Like, you know, they can kind of see what we do, come speak to us, meet us, and yeah.
I like that. Well, we've had a message in. Josh Lacey says, my guy.
One of my friends.
Good man. I mean, have you already decided what cars you're bringing along?
Well, this is the hard bit. I mean, like we do pretty well. We turn over cars quite a lot. So I kind of found out quite close to the event that we were coming, which I'm excited about. But like, for example, last week we had some quite nice cars, and then this week we've sold them.
Oh, so, right, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like what I've got now, I might not have next week, but then this week I might buy some new bits. So I'm kind of not going to know what I'm bringing until this time next week, really.
That's still pretty darn exciting then, to be fair.
Yeah, it's quite cool. But, you know, we've got some nice bits. And like the nice thing is we've got a bit of a selection. Like we've not just got like expensive stuff, which like no one can afford. You know, we've got stuff from like Fiesta STs, all the way up to like M3s, M5s. So a mixture of stuff, really.
What's your favourite car that you've sold on?
Favourite car? Well, we've had quite a cool car. So me and one of my good friends, Marcus, we had an Audi R8 V10 Plus, like a 2017, but we twin turboed it. So obviously that's like 1,000 horsepower. That is a cool car. But you know, there's quite a few things which we like sell a lot of. Like we sell a lot of like BMWs, like M140i's. You know, a lot of Audi S3s, Golf R, stuff like that. So you know, there's certain things we seem to sell more off than other things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Are you, I mean, I'm just going to put this up. Matthew Bunny says, top salesman working 24/7, this guy.
I am always working, I must say. But
Are
it's one
you,
of them, like, because, like I said, like, to us, it's not really a job, it's what we enjoy. So it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, like, I'm always, a lot of the time, I'm working 7 days a week. You know, I'm down on a Saturday, I'm down on a Sunday, but because I enjoy it, it doesn't really matter as such. Do you know what I mean? And, like, the things I understand, because if a lot of people are working Monday to Friday, then they've not got time in the week to come look at cars. So, you know, I'm quite happy to work with people and yeah, whatever.
are you guys purely buying and selling, or is there work on them as well?
Yeah, so just literally buying and selling. I mean, some stuff we buy, we might get things done. So, because obviously we specialize in like performance and modified stuff. Some things we might get in and we lower them, you know, put like splitters on and stuff just to make them look a bit better. But yeah, literally, like, you know, we're not like mechanics or nothing. We are just buying and selling cars.
Do you, I have no idea whether there's an answer to this, so apologies if this is a stupid question, but do you tend to know whether a car you are selling is, whether it's the person that's buying it or whether it's the car itself, that you know this? Do you kind of go, that's going to be a show car rather than a drive car?
Yeah, I think so. I think because, like, especially by now, like as time goes on, you just learn more and more, and you just get more knowledge. So you just kind of, yeah, I think you just get to a point where you know these things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I always find that odd for me. I'm like going, it's supposed to be driven, but loads of people obviously.
Yeah, like you just get certain cars, and I suppose it depends on the example. Like, you know, say you get something which, like, you know, the car might be 10 years old, but it's like a really low mileage, nice example. Then that's probably going to be one which kind of gets more parked up than driven. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we get some quite cool cars. Like, we've had a couple of like Sierra Cosworths and stuff now. Yeah, so do you know what I mean? We've had some Evos. You know, we proper have a mixture of stuff, really. Like, you know, we have like normal cars, like we sell quite a few like diesel BMWs, like diesel Golfs. So, you know, like a real mixture of stuff. By now, I kind of feel like I've had almost everything.
Yeah, it sounds it. Do you stick at, I mean, again, probably a daft question, because I think you probably already said this about performance cars, but
Yeah.
not necessarily things like, say, the slicked up Range Rovers or something like that, or do you include those in this or not?
It is very mixture. Like, sometimes I do have them. I mean, at the end of the day, I suppose I'll kind of buy anything if there's a profit in it as such. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I definitely specialize in like the nicer stuff. But like I said, I also get like the odd normal car. The thing is, get a lot of like part exchanges as well. So,
Course,
you know,
yeah.
someone might just have like a 320D, and it might be like an M Sport, and, you know, like, you know, it might be like a nice looking car. Maybe they've put like a splitter kit on it and stuff, and then they want to upgrade to an M3. And then, you know, if their car is like a nice example, then I'll just sell it myself anyway. So we do end up with just a wide variety of cars, really.
Yeah, I guess that's one that isn't what is the, you know, marketing you as a company, but of course it is a legacy of that we've taken their trade in to sell them the performance car. So yeah, I get that. Sean Lewis has actually just said, just seen a little Colt Turbo on there. Bring that up and let me have a go. I promise I won't break it.
To be honest, I think that car will be coming. So yeah, like I said, we do get some proper random cars, and it's nice because, like, obviously when we come, like, I will try to bring like a bit of everything, like, you know, kind of a couple small hatches, and then, you know, we've got like a couple C63s, so like a V8 saloon, and then we might have some nice like estate cars, and, you know, and like maybe like a 4x4. So we can just bring a bit of everything, and, you know, people can have a look and chat to us, and yeah.
I do love that. Do you know where you're going to be positioned yet?
Yeah, I did. It literally come through about lunchtime today. So I know I'm in the main bit, like kind of, you know, where you do your driver's briefing and stuff. You come out of there, kind of literally almost opposite.
Okay,
so, right, like where the trade village is, I guess.
Next to Infinity Exhaust, by the sounds of it. Then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're definitely right in the centre there.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so they'll all be there and on display.
I'm kind of excited to go up. Like obviously when it comes around to this time of year, it's been so long since like, you know, the last event. And then, you know, you have winter, it's a bit boring, not much going on. So I'm just kind of hoping we'll have some nice weather.
Yeah. Because where you say you're taking some of your own stuff, is that planning to go out on track then?
I think I'm going to get a couple of track sessions in. Yeah, I do love going out on the track. So yeah, I think I'll probably do one like first thing in the morning, kind of get it out of the way. Probably, you know, just maybe like break up for the day. Might do one first thing, middle of the day, then end of the day or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you know what you're going to go out in?
Well, I've just literally today brought myself a new car. So I've just brought a new M3, like the G80 M3, the latest M3. So we're going to be on a bit of a time trial to do some bits from now until obviously the day of the event. So we're going to get a couple of things done to it and then, yeah, give it a bit of a try on the track.
Sweet. So is your background, you know, outside of the company JS Performance Cars, that this scene is a scene that you've been part of for a while?
So, I mean, kind of the story to it is like, I've always loved cars. Like, you know, like I've been coming to Castle Combe for like the last 15 years since I was like a kid. Like, you know, I just love cars. So kind of when it got to a point where I was 17 and I could drive, I was always buying cars and like, kind of when we was getting bored because there's other cars to try. And then I'd sell them and, you know, try selling for more than what I brought them for. And then as time's gone on, I was just slowly learning that I can make money off cars. And then obviously before I started my business, I worked for a place called the German Car Group selling cars. Then obviously that gave me some experience to kind of, you know, start my own business as such.
Love it. I love it. That sounds so cool. It means you're in there with fellow car addicts, dare I say
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So, you know, I think it'd be a kind of a good thing to do this at Castle Combe because I've not really seen that type of thing up there before. Do you know what I mean? Like people selling cars. And like I said, you know, people are going to want to change their cars at some point. So, yeah.
Oh, and you've got the spectators that are there and suddenly going, I want to be part of this.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest.
No, it'd be good. I mean, I know that Sam referenced the Autumn Classic last year where we had that was actually an auction, which is probably more suited to the classic cars, I guess, that style of event. But apparently
Yeah.
it was just hugely successful. There
Yeah.
were cars sold before they even got to the auction part, actually. So it shows that it doesn't just have to be an auction. People are interested. And I guess it makes sense for you. You're getting your audience in one place.
Exactly. And it's just like, you know, I mean, I think people like it. Like, you know, I might be selling something that maybe someone's always wanted, and, you know, they can come over and look inside it, you know, they can listen to it. It's just quite cool, I guess.
I guess one of the other things is that if you know you're going to be relatively limited what you can bring, not just in terms of space, but in terms of what you alluded to earlier, what you have at that point.
Yeah.
If there's something that they've got a hankering for, they should speak to you about that in general anyway.
Definitely. Like, you know, we always get people coming to us, like, you know, people who might know us or they've been recommended to us. There might be a specific car they're after. And even though we've not got it, we're always happy to try source cars for people. You know, if they give us kind of exactly what they want, you know, spec, mileage, color, you know, we can then go and kind of try search for that car. Because obviously, like, we're quite well known, we've got a lot of contacts. So, you know, we might be able to find kind of what they're looking for, I guess.
And I'm assuming that the website, I'm just bringing it up, jsperformancecars.com.
Yeah.
Is that kept quite as a cracking Civic Type R on your homepage? That looks mean. But is that kept up quite up to date with the cars?
It is very up to date. I do try my best to keep the website up to date because like I'm quite good on social media. So, you know, I'm always posting stories and posts on Instagram and Facebook. Like, you know, believe it or not, I actually sell quite a few cars through social media. I mean, in this day and age, everyone's on it. Like, you know, I'm always looking on social media and I mean, people are always looking for cars and then they might see something that we have and then next thing they know, they're trying to buy it.
Yeah. I'm loving it. I'm just looking at the moment. And in fairness, that's why I asked the question, because I can imagine it's a blooming nightmare trying to keep the website up to date and everything. So good on you that you do. I mean, I'm just looking there, the BMW M2. I mean, that for me is one heck of a car these days.
Yeah, they're really good cars, the M2s.
They're stunning. The SQ5, I went out in a passenger seat with someone, just they drove, and I was like, this does not perform like an SUV.
I know, they're crazy. Some of these modern like SUVs, like BMW do an X3M competition,
Yeah.
and that's got the M3 engine in it. And it's like, do you know what I mean? You can fit your whole family in it, and it's got loads of power. Just they're really good cars. Some of these new cars.
It is bonkers. Yesterday I was hosting a supercar day, and we had things like the Lamborghini Urus. That's a different level altogether,
Yeah,
though, that one,
yeah.
isn't it? And Ferrari's bringing one out soon as well. But yeah, the SQ5 really impressed me. I mean, even like the BMWs of the different eras as well, with the different shapes that you've got. I love that as well.
Yeah, like
And
I said, we really do keep a mixture of stuff, really.
well, I noticed that it includes how we're supposed to say it now, Hyundai.
Hyundai, yeah, so that's what I mean. So literally everything. I mean, obviously that was something I took in Part X. It's not really something I sell much of, but yeah.
Really? Because I was about to say that there's some interesting high performance Hyundais these days.
Yeah, so one of my friends actually recently brought one of the new fast electric ones. I think it's called like an Ionic.
Yeah.
Obviously it's hybrid. I think it's something like 560 horsepower. But it's got like the sounds in the cabin to sound like a petrol car.
Yeah.
Like that's mega. Do you know what I mean?
It is. I know it is crazy. Although I still say the future's synthetic fuels rather than electric, but
Yeah.
that's me. That's just me. I'm a petrol head. I mean, it does look cool. So make sure anybody looks at jsperformancecars.com. But more importantly, go and see these guys at the show. Great opportunity. Have a look and see what's there that could be available to buy on the day. Or if you don't see something that floats your boat, speak to these guys, speak to John and his team. And if he's not there, it's because he's out on track. So
yeah, I'll try my best to be there, but I might sneak out a couple of times.
you blooming well should, mate. I love it that you're one of them. You know, that's the whole point, is that you fit in that place brilliantly well. I can tell you're looking forward to it, mate, as well. I think that's just been the general consensus tonight, hasn't it? Everybody's itching to do it now.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I think my plan is that I'm going to try do, I think, at least 3 events a year. Do you know what I mean? Like spread it out. Like I always do Spring Action Day. Probably do like maybe Summer Actions. It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
And then obviously I'll do one towards the end of the year as well, just to get out there really.
Love it, mate. It's so cool. Thank you so much for being patient to hang on.
That's
Is there
problem.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to say ahead of the Spring Action Day?
No, I think that's it really. Just come over, come see us, speak to us, and that's it.
I love it, mate. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy, and I hope you have a really enjoyable and a fruitful day at the Spring Action Day.
Hopefully we get some nice weather.
Hopefully, absolutely. I always find the crowds quite hardened anyway, to be honest with you, especially when it's the first one.
Like, to be honest, I think from memory, Spring Action Day most of the time has been okay in terms of weather.
Yeah, it'll be fine. What we're hearing rumours that later this week it's going to be warmer than Ibiza over here. So
Really?
We'll be fine. I wasn't happy yesterday when I was being told that on the news, when I was going, I just left at like 6 o'clock in the morning to drive up to Donington Park, scraping ice off my blooming windscreen. And you're telling me it's going to be warmer than Ibiza. Don't do that to me now. But hey, that's the news for you. Listen, Jordan, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, nice to speak to you.
And you have a fabulous Spring Action Day. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Well, there we go. That is episode 90 done of Combe TV. Brilliant one to get excited about the start of the show season, which is, of course, that Spring Action Day, Saturday, the 29th of March. If you've not got a stand to put your car there, you're too late. So get yourself booked into the ones later the year. If you haven't got your spectator tickets, get them booked. Get down there. It's going to be incredible. There's so much going on, as well as the usual stuff and all the competitions and everything. We've got a stunt team on 2 wheels that are going to be there doing stuff all day. We've got the drift guys are going to be putting on one heck of a show. And as they always do, just get yourself down to that spring action day. You can find out all the information at castlecombecircuit.co.uk, and then you go to the shows, pick spring action day, and you can get yourself your tickets to go along to the event. Well, that's it. I've been Chris Dawes. It's been an absolute pleasure to have your company for this evening. Thank you for all your comments and questions. And if you've got any more, make sure you get in touch with the circuit that if we haven't answered everything. But from all of us from Combe TV tonight, have a fantastic spring action day. Cheers all.